Okay, I know I'm a bit late up to the party since Halloween is over and the theory around dead Pokemon has been talked to death so much it should just be a pun. But let me say this. The world of Pokemon is dangerous and there's surprisingly a lot of horrific ways to die and then just to become into another ghost Pokemon, which implies that certain Pokemon could be the result of ghost types in generals. So that's what I'm going to be figuring out today, to figure out every single ghost type Pokemon, see how they died, and how we could probably find the main culprit behind it. And who knows, maybe if this becomes successful, I can probably get some bonus cash for a certain professor that has a way with trees. Now, actually, before I even start anything, I should probably address 3 things before I continue. Number 1, I'm not going to go over any evolved Pokemon, because it wouldn't make sense for a person to keel over and die only just to become a Dusknoir. There may be a few Pokedex entries that would say otherwise, but unless there is a solid information that could counter this rule, I'm not going to be adding them, so kiss Gengar and Dusknoir goodbye for this one. Number 2, no secondary Ghost-type Pokemon. Since we're talking about Pokemon that are technically dead, it wouldn't make sense to bring in Rowlet of all things. So Frostlass and Decidueye, you're not going to be in this video. And number 3, and honestly this should be, obvious at this point, no legendaries or ultra beasts of the sorts. And also any other regional variants. Okay, so to kick off this theory, we're going to start off with the OG ghost Pokemon, Gastly. It's been stated from Pokemon Ultra Sun that the poisonous gas comprised 95% of its body, and it said that the 5% is the soul who died from the gas. But it also said that in Ultra Sun that it was the result of the gas emanating from the graveyard, which I honestly gonna say that's kind of dumb, since in real life fogs from graveyards aren't really poisonous. However, that does lead with our first clue of it being a poisonous gas, which sounds like a certain Pokemon that is known of being a hot air, which, if anyone who knows the Kanto region like the back of their head, they know it's obviously going to be Muck. Nah, I'm kidding, it's Coughing. Coughing has been known to be the most poisonous Pokemon in the Kanto region, and it's even stated through thousands of Pokedex entries about its poisonous gases that stores in its bodies. It would make sense for a certain person to encounter a Coughing or its evolved form Wheezing, to either die by being exploded or to have toxic gases in his bodies, die and then use those gas to become a Gastly. Slitting past that, we got Misdreavus, and I'm gonna be honest, there wasn't a lot of info on this Pokemon other than its devious nature in devouring the fears on humans. So I had to do the one thing I was not even expecting to do. I was gonna discover its inspiration from a yokai called Nuki-Buki... Nuki-Kubi. The Nuke-Kube. I don't know. I'm sorry. Now, unlike Misdreavus, the Nuka-Buke eats regular food in the day and then blood at night. Damn, and here I was hoping for some decapitation scenario. Wait, hold up. There's also been stated that it's a curse that would have been passed down to their daughters, and were often sold away to off themselves to preserve their family's honor. Sheesh. Well, while reading that, it's a curse that can pass down through their offsprings. And as for the culprit, well, name any Pokemon that can place curses, I guess. Next, we're going to have a little double whammy with Shuppet and Duskull. Now, putting these together was a bit odd, but made sense in a way. I mean, they're both kind of similar in a sense. They were both found in Hoenn region in Mount Pyre. They've also been formed with rags on their body to a certain extent, and they like to prioritize on humans, though their method and reason about it is always different. Shuppet, for example, Dex entry says that it loves to feed on feelings like envy and malice. Its upright horn catches the emotions of people. While Duskull reads, it loves the crying of children. It startles bad kids by passing through walls and making them cry. Now, if you think I'm a little bit crazy, we can even get more information on their final evolution. Take Dusknoir, for example. Despite Dusknoir's monstrous look and demonic power, it's stated to act like an escort, using its mouth on its belly to collect the lost souls sent to the afterlife. I mean, quote, it is said to take lost spirits into its plaint body and guides them home. However, Bendinet, its opposite now, whether or not it was born from being abandoned from a doll or being a soul possessing it, It's pretty clear that this Pokemon is fueled by vengeance and curses, as stated in most of its dex entries. As for the people who caused it, isn't that clear. It might just be similar to Yamask, or maybe they were involved in the Pokemon War. Who knows? Also, side note, it's stated that Duskull is called the Requiem Pokemon, which is weird considering that means Mass of the Dead. And while other sources say it's a chant or a song of the dead, I don't know how to bring this up, but if you guys have any ideas, I truly would like to know. Yamask is well known for the mask of their formal life. However, there isn't really info about Yamask and possessing the mask. However, his counterpart in the Galar region is sort of. In an odd twist, the clay slab took possession of the Yamask instead. It's believed that in Galar that the clay slab was a cursed engraving that contains vengeful spirits. Now, surprisingly, these engravings are a reference to runestone back during the Viking Age. Now, apparently Vikings placed these runestones similar to a tombstone of sorts, describing of important people and their accomplishments. And somehow they've also placed curses in a sense, which is interesting. So even though they're both the same Pokemon, they had different outcomes, where one dies from most likely natural causes and another died with some vengeful energy getting trapped in a rune. As for the culprit, well, that one's a bit trickier to explain. It could be that they died from given a proper burial, which could explain it having memories of its former life. And since Univa's entry stated that they were born in the grave in past ages, but who knows. Though if I had to pick a Pokemon, fuck it, I don't know. Bypassing this segue, we're gonna jump into Drifloon. Now, getting this info was not easy through traditional means. I had to jump around in Sinnoh, Aloha, and even back in time, which I'm not even gonna bother explaining how I did that. But as I was researching, most of what I found is that it's composed of multiple souls and even Pokemon inside its body. However, I'm going to believe that it's just the one soul that's inhabiting it and gathering other souls in the process. Considering in Aloha, it stuffs souls into its bodies that causes it to rupture, which is kind of odd considering there's other ghost-type Pokemon that can devour emotions or souls without known limit. So it's that logic that could explain that Drifloon is possessing a balloon, or more accurately, a popped or destroyed balloon, which could be evident towards the X mark on Drifloon's head. However, there wasn't anything I could find about the main culprit, so if you guys have any ideas, let me know in the comments. Okay, next on the list is Frillish. Ah, great. Alright, I'm gonna be honest, I don't like Frillish. It's probably the most disliked ghost Pokemon as far as I'm aware. I mean, the only thing that's been known in the Pokedex entries are its jellyfish-like limbs, paralyzing their prey and drowning them, and is the spirit of an ancient city that sank into the ocean. Wait, hold up. What? No, I'm not even kidding. I had to triple check this. In the Galar region, it states that a legend has it that the residents of a sunken ancient city changed into these Pokemon. And even though it's called a legend, the sunken city is actually real in the Unova region, called the Abyssal Ruins, the exact same region Frillish was first introduced. And as for the culprit, well, they never explain how the city sunk. It could be Lugia, that it claims it can create 40-day storms, or Kyogre, that is known to expand the sea with heavy rains, or name every Pokemon that knows Earthquake. Up next, we have the Galarian Corsola. Now, normally I would counter this rule, but this one was way too weird to start off. So I had to go ahead and see it for myself. And after researching this one, it was a lot trickier, because it's basically a zombie Corsola, and well, I'm not sure if it knows bite, but I had to get myself a live specimen with little to something of a success. And I've noticed that when comparing it to its original counterpart, it had corals removed and replaced with this weird goop, which is, I guess, ectoplasm. Originally, I thought it was just a predator that kept Corsola alive, like some predators in real life do. But after doing the research in the Aloha region, there is a few Pokedex entries that might be a good culprit. Marini. It states that the coral that grows on Corsola's head is so good it's considered a 5-star banquet to this Pokemon. Which, at first I thought that would be the right case. Surprisingly no, I was surely wrong. Turns out Marini in the Galar region are not aware of the delicious Corsola corals according to the Pokedex and Shield. So if that wasn't Marini, then what? Humans? Well, there's no beating around the Bonsly, but it's because of humans for creating the Galarian Corsola. Though if you guys want more info on that, I highly recommend checking out Loxden for more information, since he's probably a top tier Poke nerd to my knowledge. Next on this is Mimikyu. Oh, this is going to be a crazy theory, but hear me out. So from what I can gather on the internet, some people have theorized that it could be a Porygon, which because of a certain anime, children die during seizures, which, yeah, I'm not one to poke holes, but that's implying that a computer program turned into a Pokemon that has a soul, died, and then turned itself into a Mimikyu, which, according to the theory even more, it explains that it wears a Pikachu disguise because it hates Pikachu in the anime. Even though I've checked the Aloha Pokedex, and there's not one, not two, but 11 Pokedex entries, including the busted variation of Mimikyu, that states it's not prone to anger. Surprisingly, quite the opposite. It's been stated that it's been lonely and makes itself look like a Pikachu to look less scary and be more around people. To which if anyone looks under the disguise, they will die from shock. Now, dying at looking at something is a bit supernatural to my taste, something like a godlike Pokemon would have as a form that brains can't comprehend. So, what is it? Well, my theory is that it's a child, maybe a baby that was cursed until death to become a Mimikyu. Now, before you guys say anything or put a bounty on my head, let me try to explain. First off, being cursed in the Pokemon world is surprisingly common. Take example Misdreavus. As stated in Aloha, it mutters curses, the exact same place that Mimikyu is known to be seen. And now I know what you're thinking, why a baby of all things? Well, it is a stretch, but I believe that unlike children or adults, babies haven't been tainted with hatred, malice, or any negative energy. So that would explain its fairy typing to a certain extent. But then again, it's a bit of a stretch in my case, but I find this the hardest thing. Now, it's clearly been stated over and over in the Alola region that this was basically a child that got lost in the woods, died, and possessed a tree stump. This would be an open and shut case, but I'm not fully convinced. For starters, it's incredibly dangerous in the Pokemon world to go without even a Pokemon on hand. Something that a kid would understand at this point. And yeah, I can see there'd be a few stupid children that would ignore that, but there could be an actual culprit in the form of Hypno. Now, I do know about the theory about Hypno hypnotizing children, taking them into the woods, and to never be seen again. Now, there is a problem to this theory in the Alola region's Hypno. As stated, it says that Komala's Hypno's main target and rarely harms people. Heck, they've even been used as doctors to put their patients to sleep. But keep in mind that Hypno isn't an Alola region Pokemon. There have been multiple regions that Hypno has been resided in. And yet, Komala is the only one found in Aloha, so that means not every Hypno is going to have a Komala for their next meal. So what else could it be? Well, why not children? I mean, it even says it in the Moon entries. As a matter of course, it makes anyone it meets falls asleep and tastes their dreams. Anyone having a good dream, it carries it off. There. Open shut case, clear as night, Hypno is known to take people. But why am I saying children specifically? I can see two reasons. Number one, children are more vivid and more creative dreams than adults. So for a Hypno to eat a child dream would probably be more of a delicacy to him. And number two, it would be easier for Hypno to steal a child away than rather having to steal a skilled trainer with a team of Pokemon or an experienced adult that has dealt with Hypno in the past. Honestly, it's just a win-win for Hypno in this case. The last one on this list, we're going to be talking about Dhelmise. Despite it actually possessing the seedweed, not the anchor, is interesting, but not really important to this situation. And after borrowing a few Alolan entries on this Pokemon, it mentions a lot how it's been reborn from a sunken ship. Quote, After pieces of seaweed merged with debris from a sunken ship, it was reborn as this ghost Pokemon. So, from what I can understand, is that we have a person, maybe a fisherman, went out at sea and only to just be attacked by a wild Pokemon to just drown and then be reborn into Dhelmise. Now, the only question is, who could it be? And, well, it could be Gelatin. There are multiple entries and has been known to sunk ship of all sizes. Or it could be Gyarados, which is infamous for its short temper and violent rampages. But I'm a little bit more confident to say that the main culprit with this is none other than Wailord. Didn't expect this one, did you? But let me explain. Not only that this Pokemon can be found in Alola, even in Seafolk Village, the same location Dhelmise is only found. And even though the Alola entries state that they're favorited by the region to sightsee, the fishermen, on the other hand, hate them for stealing their nearby fish, which could explain why the Pokedex entries point out Dhelmise's fondness of attacking Wailord specifically. And that's about it. I know I'm missing a handful of certain ghost Pokemon, but well, there wasn't anything I could find. Some spirits just float around and possess objects and boom, they become a Pokemon. Trust me, I was theorizing that Sinistea was a pompous rich person who died by poison, but sadly there wasn't anything I could find that could prove that being the case. But there are 2 Pokemon in my research that surprisingly are not even ghost type at all. But there are only 2 Pokemon to my research that are not actually ghosts at all. Take Rotom for example. Despite it being an electric wisp of sorts, but it's actually just a computer program turned into a Pokemon, since in its normal state can enter the Union Room and the Wi-Fi Club, and can only possess certain objects with a special motor. And of course, as a bonus, its primary type is an electric type, and his secondary is ghost type. And Sableye, despite it having ghost traits, it doesn't have anything related to being the dead. Heck, even its original movesets are mostly normal types, and his ghost types are often used by non-ghost type Pokemon. But that's gonna be it for today. Do you like my theories? Is there ones that you hate? Is there ones that you think I was close? Let me know in the comments. I really am curious for you guys to point out. And that's gonna be it. Shit, I really never thought of an outro.
Hey, this is Bite from the future. Since Scarlet and Violet has been out for a while, I might as well talk about some of the new ghost-type Pokemon. Let's see, we got Bramblin, that's just to possess Tumbleweed, Grimmighoul, it's just to possess Coin, and ooh, that's a little good tree. Greavyard, the ghost dog. Stated to be a dog Pokemon that died in the wild without ever interacting with a human and was reborn into this Pokemon. Considering there's a lot of doggos in the Paldea region, it's safe to say there isn't a specific dog. Although a friend of mine did theorize that it could be Lillipup due to their stats being similar even to their final forms. And after looking into this even further, I did notice it's kind of odd how Grimgeared is commonly found in the It is kind of odd that they're commonly found in the Glaceto Mountain, which makes me wonder if Greavyard just gathered into this area instinctually, or did one of the doggos couldn't survive in the frigid cold and perish, becoming a Greavyard. And of course, that's all the theories I can find, or that I could think up. If you guys have any ideas and theories, throw it in the comments, and hopefully I'll make a sequel to this. But who knows. Anyways, I'm asleep now. See ya.